Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to be watching and reacting to When Did Britain and America Stop Hating Each Other? This is a short animated history by History Matters. And yeah, I mean, this is perfect. I want to know when we kind of, the war, we had plenty of wars early on. Then I don't remember when the last one was, maybe the 1812 kind of our last little conflict, but after that it seems like it kind of smoothed out a little more and got better over quite a while. I don't know exactly when, so this is why I'm watching this. And now we're one of the best allies in the world, if not the closest allies in the world. I feel like we would follow Britain into anything, and they would do the same for us if some crazy shenanigans happen. So kind of like two brothers almost. It reminds me of our countries, our two great countries, just brothers almost. I don't know which one would be the bigger brother and the smaller brother, but you gotta choose that on your own. So let's see, when did we stop hating each other? When did we even become friends?
Statement to say that it would be an understatement to say that Britain and the USA's relationship got off to a rocky start. In 1812, Britain and America were at war, but just over a century later, they were fighting shoulder to shoulder in World War I, which obviously raises the question: when did Britain and America become allies? There had to be a point where both went from actively disliking each other to working alongside each other. Now, before continuing, it's important to note that even in the immediate aftermath of independence, America and Britain still had strong economic ties. This isn't to say that things were always great between the two, and there were some pretty major conflicts of interest in the years after the War of 1812 finished. The first, and perhaps the most obvious, was the Monroe Doctrine, established in 1823. This was where the United States, by threat of military intervention, declared an end to any new European colonial adventures in the Americas. And for Britain, this was potentially a problem because it had economic interests in South America. In reality, though, it wasn't too much of a problem at all, because in 1833 it landed a force on the Falkland Islands and America did nothing. In 1842, the US did warn Britain against interference in Hawaii, which Britain did heed because America's international power was certainly growing. And it was this fact that America was a rapidly growing great power whose interests could no longer be ignored, which would dominate Anglo-American relations for the following century. So the next major event which could have changed the Anglo-American dynamic was the American Civil War, which broke out in 1861. Britain had already abolished slavery at this point, and so you would think that it would have preferred the Union over the Confederacy. But you'd be wrong. Now, Britain had no great affection for the Confederacy in its slaveholding practices. Its preferential treatment was purely economic, mostly due to cotton imports. Britain did consider formally recognising the Confederacy, and Anglo-American relations were severely harmed by what's called the Trent Affair. This was where the US government seized a ship with Confederate diplomats headed for Britain, which to Britain looked like the USA telling it who it could and could not speak to. In the end, cooler heads prevailed and Britain didn't get involved, although it did construct a very powerful warship, the CSS Alabama, for the Confederacy. And after the Civil War was over, Britain paid compensation to the United States. Thus, only 50 years away from World War I, Britain and America still didn't really care much for each other.
I mean, already it seems like I don't know when it started to turn exactly. This video's pretty broad, but it seems like even after the revolution, I think we still traded with each other and everything. Maybe it wasn't fantastic, but I mean, it was just one of the many nations that just eventually broke off and just kept trading. And I don't think it was overly sour relationships. Like, wasn't horrible. We didn't hate each other exactly. I think that's kind of too far. Maybe we did, but I don't think we really did. And it just kind of, I think, very slowly got better, but for a long time there's little things here and there, but we kept trading. And like already they said they gave us compensation already in the Civil War, and that's already like, okay, we're kind of working together in a small way. We see more eye to eye with each other than ever before, and it's just going to continue to get better, I guess. I could be
So what changed
wrong.
this? Well, relations actually started to improve during Britain's border dispute with Venezuela in 1895. This developed into somewhat of a crisis, and the US intervened and arbitrated, siding mostly with Britain. For Britain, America had conducted itself in a well-mannered fashion and given Britain most of what it had wanted. And for America, by accepting American arbitration, Britain had yielded its right to influence South America. The other reason for Anglo-American rapprochement was simple: converging interests. America had emerged from its civil war a more centralised industrial power, and after its defeat of Spain in 1898, it possessed a global empire too. And for Britain, things were rapidly changing as well. Its empire and global position was being threatened by Russia and the newly formed Germany. Britain had long practiced a policy of isolationism with respect to the European powers, but since they too were industrialising, this had the potential to threaten Britain's position. Thus, her most natural ally seemed to be the United States, since it was half a world away and had its own sphere of influence, plus they spoke the same language and shared many values.
Howdy.
It was at the turn of the 20th century under President Theodore Roosevelt that America and Britain really started to become friends, particularly with respect to one foreign policy stance. They didn't like Germany. This agreement allowed for Britain to move its fleet away from its Caribbean colonies back to Britain to defend itself from Germany, while security in the Caribbean would fall to the US. After the First World War broke out, Germany's actions such as U-boat attacks on American shipping and the Zimmermann telegram, combined with the fact that if Britain and France lost the war, they wouldn't be able to pay their American loans back, assured US intervention on their side.
There we go.
And from that point onwards, both the US and UK were largely in the same camps, barring a couple of mishaps here and there. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for watching.
Okay, yeah, so that was a super quick video, but yeah, I mean that makes sense. And let me know if I'm wrong with anything that I say. I'm kind of just shooting out what I think is the case. But yeah, it seems like it really started to turn and get better after 1812, and it was just improving more and more. And even 1812 was, I feel like, much less severe. I know the White House was burned down and everything. It just seemed like less serious than, you know, the revolution and things of the past. So that wasn't as intense and just kept getting better and better slowly but surely. We saw more eye to eye. We got more powerful, and then I feel like we both knew we couldn't really mess with each other, and we just started working together. And then Germany started becoming a threat, and then we saw very eye to eye because, you know, what percent of the U.S.'s population was from Britain, from the U.K., and I wonder what percent that was, and Ireland and everything. So probably quite a bit, and I think, you know, we had that common kind of we shared that with each other. We kind of saw eye to eye a little more compared to other more foreign countries like Germany and, you know, Russia, stuff like that. So we became friends. Let me know if there's anything else, anything more correct, more wrong, more facts, whatever. But let's see if there's any entertaining comments. Yeah, when this is when we became friends. When America stopped throwing tea away and just switched to coffee. I'm actually drinking coffee right now too. Definitely have a lot more coffee here than tea. Tea is not a big thing over here. Although we do have it, specifically my family, a little more. Yeah, there we go. World War happens. Britain and France. My lands. US. My loans. Yeah, I feel like we've always been like that. Britain and the US in real life. Allies. British people and Americans online. Constantly at war. I think that's for many other countries, but I think I feel like everywhere I've been in the UK, I've been to, you know, I've been to Ireland, Scotland, and then I was in England most recently, and then I went to Gibraltar. Everyone seems super nice, so that's maybe in the comments section they're like this, but it just seems like, once again, we're best of allies, and even in person, people are extremely nice over there. And very welcoming, very warm. Here we go. Both sides suddenly realized, whoa, you speak English too? That's pretty funny. They're dumb comments, but they're funny comments. Yeah, that was pretty good overall. Yeah, once again, let me know if there's anything you could add on. But until next time, this was the channel History Matters. This is when we stopped hating each other. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. Hopefully you learned something.